hay fever is commonly triggered by pollen, and that can be working with tree pollens all the way through a lot of the year, or it can be centering on spring to autumn, and certain months are worse than others. Okay, so it creates sneezing, watery eyes, lethargy, congestion, often poor sleep because blocked nose feeling, and this general feeling that you're just constantly under attack, and it's all centered around here. So it's miserable. So things that you can do to help it is look at your diet, strengthen your immune system through the classics that I've told you, particularly echinacea, and strengthen with things like bee pollen and honey. So there's this idea that if it's pollen that's making this happen, then strengthen the immune system with pollen and make sure that you buy local honey and things like that. That's the concept. Nettle tea is a classic with hay fever. It's a classic because nettle contains histamine. I was talking about the glandular stinging sacs in a previous session that once punctured and sting you. That in there is histamine. Okay, and what it does in the body is tell the body not to produce more. And when we have hay fever, we go into a overproduction or production of histamine to try and combat it. So that by introducing a small amount of histamine, it triggers the body not to produce more. So that's why we use it. It's also an excellent blood cleanser in its own right, so that really helps. We talked in earlier classes about green foods, superfoods, and these are always fundamental to everything, but particularly to immune system disorders. Spirulina, chlorella, wheatgrass, the chlorophyll-rich greens, the barley grass, sprouting seeds, all those superfoods are going to be really, really key, and particularly alkaline. I've talked about that. And another classic is chewing milk thistle seeds. Milk thistle is a great detoxifier, and when you're overloaded with all these toxins, you need to really clear the system out. So classics are burdock and milk thistle. Those are two classics for helping hay fever. And people have reduced their hay fever down to nothing just by using those two plants. But there are an awful lot to choose from, and they're all classic and they're all good. Juniper's another one. And plantain's another one. Okay, and plantain and eyebright, two others. I haven't got eyebright here, but plantain and eyebright both contain something called iridoid glycosides, and these really go for the support of the hay fever issues. When you have hay fever, you tend to overproduce, the histamine reaction tends to overproduce hydrochloric acid, and that's acidic and irritating. So it's really good to damp that down. That will really help. So I've got here powdered marshmallow root and slippery elm bark. These are two classic demulcents and soothers, and there's also powdered plantain in here. So that plant is in there as well. So three really calming, cooling, soothing, demulcent, mucilaginous, coating, soaking up excess acid herbs, which if you take this before you eat, if you've got hay fever, that will also quicken and heal and get you through this whole thing much quicker. And it is the whole thing with hay fever, if you do this, it's really responsive really quickly. And the other point about this is if you are a bit of a multiple allergy person or have an autoimmune disease and you happen to have hay fever as well, it's just one more thing for the immune system to have to work out. So by reducing these things in the body, you're actually toning down the work of the body, the work of the immune system. You're ticking tick list off, oh good, the immune system doesn't have to deal with that as well. So you start slowly getting better. So maybe your worst problems get better as well incrementally. It takes time, but you do get there. So we talked about eyebright, talked about plantain, we talked about nettle, and dandelion's another classic. and you use the leaves. Dandelion is a really powerful diuretic. We used it a lot in the kidney session, and it's the leaf and the root. But here, like everywhere when we use dandelion predominantly, it's one of the safest and strongest diuretics in the botanical kingdom. And so that's why we use it, particularly when there are allergies, because you want to get those toxins out and fast. And the juniper will do that as well. And the nettles is also a diuretic. So a lot of the work with the hay fever or any toxins or any allergy is to get it out and on. If you can't use lemon balm because you have a low thyroid condition and all that, you can use marigold instead. And then there's 2 compounds in plants, quercetin and bromelain, that are also helpful for hay fever. So no reason to suffer, just carry on and, work at it, and you will get there.